What if you train them and they leave? What if you don't and they stay? Topic today is professional development and why boards ought to review their professional development plans, not only for themselves. I don't want to talk about for themselves right now, but for leaders in the organization as a whole. Hey, everybody, this is Michael Corley. Just wanted to let you know we are now sending out a weekly, very brief newsletter. Tips, tricks, pointers to nonprofit executives. That includes both board members and CEOs, executive directors. If you're interested in receiving this, please go to thecorleycompany.com/newsletter and you can sign up. Once again, that's thecorleycompany.com/newsletter. As I've worked with boards over the last many years, and even several recently, and budget season is upon us for several of them, or just wrapping up for a majority of them. Oftentimes there's a line item that's missing in a nonprofit's budget, and that is money for professional development. And the comment often is, well, we don't have the money to do that. We need to put everything towards the mission, towards the services that we provide. And I don't disagree. That's a noble effort and cause. But the reality is, if you want to leverage the money that's coming in, you want to have a more effective and efficient organization. And clearly the only way to do that, or one primary way to do that, is make sure that the people are trained and receive some professional development. The good people always want to get better, and therefore you need a budget to spend money on professional development. Those that probably aren't as good may not be as interested in professional development. You can get by with that. But if you want to retain and you want to grow, you really want to spend some time developing people. Now, how much is an appropriate budget amount to do? I don't know. That's up to each individual organization. I think what's most important now from a board perspective is ensuring that the executive director, that the CEO feels comfortable including that line item in the budget. I would say they probably don't, because they don't want to ask for that money for the reasons I stated a few minutes ago. But board members, particularly those of you who are from industry, you know how important professional development is. Why would you not want people working in the nonprofit of which you serve the board to be trained and continue to grow and develop? And there are any number of ways to do it. And nowadays, actually, you don't have to spend a lot of money in a lot of cases because of the power of Zoom. Although I certainly recommend in-person training and development. Professional development can come in so many different forms and formats. You've got online professional development tools. You've got in-person, you've got conferences. It really depends on the need and the subject matter. And what I would encourage is don't limit it only to the executive director level, although that is really important, but carry it through to the senior levels, even throughout the organization. Even at the lowest levels, the entry-level positions, people are craving to get better and craving ongoing learning. And just a small investment here and there can pay off in spades, not only from they perform better, which impacts your organization, but also that retention. Boy, there's a lot of value in continuing to grow and develop your people from a retention perspective. And we all know today the challenge of retaining good people. So those are the people you want to invest in. Those are the one way to do it, which is relatively inexpensive and will yield phenomenal results if done properly. In places you may want to look, if you're a member of an association, and most of you are, at least of like-minded groups, those associations often have tremendous training programs, now specific to that industry, but oftentimes they'll branch out even into different types of leadership development, training, advising. And so the resources are, they're numerous, they're out there. And if you just a little Google search, you'd probably be surprised at what's available. So while professional development can be for anybody in the organization, and certainly it should be, as a board, you're more interested or most interested in professional development for the executive director or the CEO. And what a better time to think about it than right after you do the performance review, when you've evaluated the CEO and you want to give him or her the appropriate feedback, but then the tools to prove in those areas that you've identified as gaps for them, as areas of improvement. And wouldn't that be a nice way to provide a performance review and saying, hey, here are areas of opportunity for you. And in fact, we are going to invest in you so that you can get better. Boy, that would be a really nice compliment to that executive director. He or she would feel the support, and that may actually help your retention at that level. not only should board members make sure there's budget for professional development, but encourage the CEO to encourage the management team to allow people the time to take advantage of those training opportunities. Oftentimes we say, wow, you can go do this, you can go do that, but boy, you feel guilty taking the time off, time away to, again, this is all subject to what the training is, but create an environment where people are encouraged for continuous development and improvement, and it'll really reward the organization. So that adage, well, what if you train them? What if you spend money to train them and then they leave the organization? Well, certainly that's a risk. But maybe even more importantly, it's what if you don't train them and they stay? Your organization then is negatively impacted. So as you go through the budgeting process, as you think about growing and developing your leadership team and even people throughout the organization, I encourage you board members, insist that there be a line item in there for professional development, and that is taken seriously, and it's throughout the organization. And I don't think you will regret doing that as your people continue to grow. This is Michael Corley, I-501C, the podcast for nonprofit board members, and we'll see you next week.